Good morning. As you can see, it's a snow day. School is canceled, but that doesn't apply to principals apparently. So Emma went in. It's a chilly one. It's chilly, but nice and toasty in the rig. I do think we're gonna work on the propane furnace because it's not lighting. And but the blower works just fine. I assume that it's a sail switch. We'll see. It's a good day for that because I have the tools. So stopped in at Lenny the bus, grabbed some things. The trick for Lenny, because when we went in after just a couple of days, leaving him cracked windows on one side and not on the other, it was getting pretty musty, and the countertops were getting a little bit more mold, things like that. Opening the other side of the windows, though, got rid of all that condensation, and we don't have any power running in there, of course, so that's a good thing. This is a pretty neat setup. Got the two racks, a little solar panel up there, and the Airstream. We've lived that life. Oh, it's also a little tent. We'll get into that furnace and see what we can find. And I'm enjoying the walks around this RV park. See a little watermill thing, and watching these ducks, Sam and Colt. Well, more Sam than Colt, but they love watching the ducks out here. I'm a big fan of watching the birds. It's like a winter wonderland. RVs, a little pond here. What more can you ask for? You can see the Lake Pleasant, so to speak, is starting to get a little bit of ice. It's starting to. Yeah. It's fun. Sure is pretty. So it didn't really snow yesterday at all. And then today, of course, it's back. So it's supposed to rain through the end of the week, but the fun part is that basically the way it works with schools is they get so many snow days built into the contract. It never, they don't ever cut school early because of, if they don't use them. But if they go over those days, they actually have to extend their contracts, which kind of makes sense. It's kind of a bummer though. So, but as it turns out with principals, there's no way this truck is towing that big old Alpine there. No way. As it turns out though, with principals, they actually don't get even a full summer off. So you do get some vacation, and then otherwise you have to use your vacation days, which Emma really doesn't use any vacation days, so Silver Fox edition. So that's cool. I mean, that works out just fine, but it is so peaceful here. It's funny seeing all the nose caps of these fifth wheels as we walk through. These folks have it all set up nicely with their little lights. Something I am very grateful for is the fact that we don't use salt on our roads, which is great. Washington doesn't salt. We really don't need to salt. They do use, I know they use sand and a few other like plowing techniques up on like Stevens Pass going over US 2. But we don't really salt, so we don't need to. So another truck that, it's a big old son of a gun. Look at that thing. It is interesting. I'm very glad for it because our vehicles can be, as you can see, like this is a slightly older Mercedes and slightly older, is that a GMC? Yeah. And there's no rust all around those fenders. No rust. And that's something that's pretty wild to see in Illinois or really any state other than Washington, Oregon, and Cali that we've been. I think a lot of them use a lot of salt. So, and I get it. In some instances, it makes a lot of sense, right? So that snow just keeps coming and keeps coming, and then ice, and I get it. I'm just glad not to be around that. So, and as for how things are working, so our water is not frozen. Although we do have a full water tank. That's all good if we need it. But our hose is not frozen, and Everything's still dumping as it should. Each day I've been going out and just dumping the tanks to see like how things are being affected. All good there. The furnace has not been on, obviously, but it's not this is something I found interesting. I've never used a furnace if I haven't had to, and so for example, occasionally, especially with the Airstreams, we've gone ahead and boondocked for the most part, but then I would mooch dock if I could. And if it got around this time, we'd try to find some electricity, because honestly, below freezing is kind of the only time that you need electricity for us, or extreme heat. There's nobody out on these roads. Huh. Oh, I hear somebody down there. But it's good how infrequently we actually need power. And this, we're really splurging. We could get away with not having power, but it's a nice thing to have for sure. Whew, there's the road noise. Even in the Airstreams, the 25-footer, for example, if we didn't have to turn the furnace on, we wouldn't, because again, moisture. But we would use something like a space heater. Man, these vehicles are loud out here. And the space heater would envelop, especially with the Airstreams, you know, they have an aluminum sheet on the bottom. It would actually envelop everything, and like the heat would spread enough. Whereas I know that I've seen online folks that are, even in small rigs, they're like, you have to run the furnace, you have to run the furnace, you have to. We've been down to, I want to say like -6 degrees, not running the furnace, no side effect. It is not a bad idea necessarily, even if you have a small rig, but really what that, you know, if you have a large rig, like a 5th wheel or certain class A's, obviously then you want to run the furnace, because you want to make sure that those tanks get, you know, warmed up. But with our Escape being an all enclosed belly, that is something that we're not really worried about. We have extra insulation underneath there, so any heat in the cabin will basically kind of radiate down. I know the idea that like heat rises, I get that, but things also radiate. So all that to say, we are in good shape. We're not gonna have a problem. I mean, if it was down to like -40, yeah, might run that furnace, you know, proactively. Or more likely, maybe a little space heater. I'm finding that our AC, the heat unit, does a great job, but it takes about the same power as a space heater, sometimes more, often less, which is kind of cool. And it has an automatic defrost function and all that. So Emma and I were walking by this, I think those are townhomes, I guess you'd call them, and we were considering the density of housing, you know, bang for buck here. And I thought this was interesting because from the front it actually looked like only 2 homes. I think this is actually 4. But I think about it, especially because they go a lot deeper than an RV and a lot taller than an RV, obviously. So a lot more living space. But, you know, if you compare this directly to the RV park that's right across the street, it is interesting because in theory you could park 1 person here, shrub, a 2nd person, you know, you gotta walk, shrub, 3rd, shrub, 4th, shrub, 5. So 5 versus 4 on the front, but the reality is no rig is much longer than say half of the, you know, living room. But the reality is like you could park 2 kind of butt to butt, as a lot of RV parks are. And so if you went, say 5 or so across on this, instead of housing 4 people, you probably house 10. That's a big deal. But, you know, granted, RVs only go so tall, so it's like you're trading comfort for cost and convenience. Which, speaking of, I've been trying to formulate, you know, kind of an opinion or really like a summary conclusion, really, right, about our experience in, you know, RV parks versus, you know, boondocking the way that we do, because we've always boondocked. This is just, you know, boondock with occasional, very occasional, you know, maybe once every 2 years sort of mooch docking situation. RV park versus mooch docking. And I'm still keeping an open mind, but I will say, when you're hooked up like this, there is no real, I mean, I always talk about how like we don't ever miss anything. We're never missing anything from a regular house because we don't ever care about the space, right? And I stand by that even more now. is that like we have everything we need. We have all the power we could need. We're not thinking about conserving anything. All the water we could need. Yeah, I'm just like, I'm not worried about a single thing. And I'll share my thoughts on kind of the comparison aspect, but it is interesting because other than the space, we don't notice the difference. Like, what is the difference? Yeah, we just don't need the space. And I will say we can tidy up our whole home in 5 minutes, maybe, but like the entire home. Wipe down the walls, all that crap. 10 minutes if we want to do a deeper clean sort of thing. It's interesting. Yeah, there's nothing, 9 years in, there's nothing I miss. Not a single thing. RV park, and then there's a road right here. And then right across are development plot. So new homes, 3 to 5 bedrooms, up to 30,155 square feet. Big homes. Now that's pretty big, especially considering, you know, we live in something that's, I don't even know if it's 200 square feet. I'm going there. And I love it. I mean, yeah, it's a lot. It is a lot more affordable. I can only imagine what those are going to be, but you know, that's a one argument. But the other thing though is actually, you know, I was thinking about this a lot. You know, how do I feel about living in an RV park now? You know, for reference, I lived in an apartment building. I have a few apartment buildings actually, and I hated it. Hated it. In my last apartment building, I had a roommate, and well, actually 2 different roommates, and then their partners, and that was ugly. So yeah, not a big fan of living like in such cohabitation with other people that have their own wills and, you know, their own individual goals and their own schedules and all this, you know. So I wasn't sure how I'd feel about this, because for years and years now, we've just boondocked and I don't have to deal with any of that crap, you know. And I will say, I think it depends on, you know, how you, like where you're at, how you're positioned in the park, things like that. But we're kind of like right in the middle of everything, you know, on the beginning part of the loop, right? No, I think it's been fine. I think it's been really good. Folks are friendly. It's been great, given that we haven't had any power issues, you know, anything like that. No outages. They seem to keep up this park pretty well, which makes sense. It's a pricey meatball, but so one would hope, right? But no, I think so far, I mean, it's quiet. Folks are all working or, you know, doing whatever they're doing, and it's pretty good. So I don't know what I was expecting. I was expecting to be a little bit louder, or folks like I don't know, wild dogs, or no, as long as folks are respectful, it's all good. Otherwise, I don't know, it's not my cup of tea. But no, I've been pretty happy. I've been really happy. One thing that's cool about this spot though is they will actually allow you to wash your rig, and some parks don't do that. These guys do have like age restrictions on rigs, and like we couldn't bring Lenny the bus here, you know, things like that. But no, it's a nice thing. It's like an RV winter wonderland here. How nice is this? I don't know how popular this would be, but I've had this thought to do a video kind of walking around showing the rigs, you know, how the park's laid out and things like that, but sort of the what things are people doing and using, like what tools are they using, and kind of what setups do people have, ideally in the middle of the day when people are kind of out and about. But you know, things like the LED lights, right? Are people using heated hoses, or do they have those the plastic sloping deals? You know, many do, but not everybody does. I thought it'd be kind of interesting, or what kind of, I don't know, like things like what sort of tow vehicles are people, you know, using, things like that. Would you guys be interested? Leave a comment. Let me know. It is very peaceful here, isn't it? Oh, what in the world? So we got hot air coming out of this. Why? Golly. So took the cover off. That's all I have done. That and turned this switch right here off and then back on. And all of a sudden this thing's firing up like it's nobody's business. This is the furnace, by the way. There's the hot, the water heater. Hot water heater. The water heater. So I do need to go get new screws because I don't know if my bit, my bit doesn't look rounded, but might as well freshen those up while we're at it. But I need to get new bits and new screws just to be safe. Like, so I don't want to round them off in there. That'd be a bad day. But other than that, like, go ahead and try this again. That little switch right there. It's kind of a weird place for it, but on. Okay. Maybe. Okay, we got one light. One with 3-second pause, airflow limit fault. Let's see. I do like that they actually put the diagnostics code right there. I'm only seeing one flash there, so I might be a self-test. Yeah, look at that. What the hell? So I'm pretty sure the airflow, the sail switch is right here. That's very interesting. But the question is, will it continue to work if I put this back on? Is this somehow changing the dynamic at all? Because that's in there. Huh? Let's find out. It is on there. It's still working. Hold on, let me just shut it off and turn it back on then. Now this is actually why we kept these steps. They're really great when you're here. Obviously, just not going to work for the rest of the time that we're boondocking, So I'm going to shut it off. Give it a second. I do think that this is crap. This is not a very good. This is just a bad system to use. However, easy to swap out. We can get another part for that, I'm sure. Okay. Yeah, it's nice and warm. I like that. We'll give this just a second. We do need to get some magnetic inserts for these. We can always cut steel or something like that too, but stainless steel is kind of expensive, so we might just go get some magnetic inserts. I'm sure that'll be cheaper than the steel. Give us a second and then try to crank it back on. Okay, nothing there. Come over here. I'm going to turn it back on with the top switch because I think it'll give us an error because it was working immediately after being reset, and this was the same instance. Yeah, no heat, it shut off. So let's see. It's the same thing that happened before. It shut off for a while and then we were good to go. So watch this. Off. It's gonna cut all power to this board, which makes me think we might have a faulty board. Any lights? One, two. Okay, so one with 3 seconds airflow / limit fault. Okay, so that's our issue then. And this cover did not affect that then. It was just coincidence that it finally turned on. Alright, let me see if I can figure out where that fault is. Okay, one tiny, oh yeah, would you look at that. Oh, there, I see some fur in there. That'll do it. Yeah, one little tiny screw came out of there. Oh, I was going the wrong way. Oh, poop. Oh, hold on. I'll get this with 2 hands. We may need to add some sort of screen or filter to this bad boy then. Yeah, because that is fuzzy. That's only a little bit of fuzz, but come on, buddy. Yeah, we might have to add a filter. I'm surprised that this has anything in it. Let me go ahead and reinstall it then. And our cable here on. It is kind of a nice thing though that it makes sure that the blower is running before it just starts burning stuff. Kind of a nice deal there. Okay, takes a couple seconds though to get that air moving. Now I will say this. All right, I might have accidentally bent this. Okay, that's fuzzy. All right, let's try this, where I manually connect these. So on. Okay, so those are making a connection. We'll see if this is actually the case. I'm sure it is. Airflow, which would be that. And there we are. Now, what if I shut this off? So I let go. Boom, immediately. That's back on. Okay, that is our issue. That's good. Ooh, that feels good. Right there. Let's sit here and then huff this exhaust though. Whew. All right, I'm going to go ahead and let that up. And we do have a replacement sail switch. Let me go grab that real quick. So thankfully we have that little blinking light here, and it gives us a proper indicator as to what's going on for troubleshooting. Now, this is kind of what that sail switch sort of looks like. You can see there's just a little tiny guy that you can sort of hear that. And then this one happens to come with new screws. Yeah, a mount that goes some sort of way. I gotta figure that out. I'm just gonna copy the one from over here. And I will say this as well. This was very cool of Escape to give this to us, because this isn't necessarily like an escape problem, so to speak, right? This is just a potentially common issue on these guys in particular, and it might be a manufacturing defect. But I know that I will be picking up another one of these and keeping this one. Give that a second. It wants to just purge all of the any gases and such. All right, got that. And that one's going to go on the outside. Okay. This one's gonna go on the inside. And we'll just get a nice thing of ice there. Okay. We're just gonna set this guy. Right up in there. Okay. I would really recommend using a screwdriver on this as well. I just don't have a regular screwdriver because we're not fully moved in yet. All right. Let's hope it doesn't click. In 1, 2, 3. Oh, I smell propane. And there's nothing else. They look identical. Nothing else wrong with this that I can tell. Ooh, that's a good sign. All right, very cool. Okay, we're gonna save this actually, because I don't think there's anything, not really anything wrong with this. I see a slight scuff mark there, but it seems to work manually, which makes me think that the problem is actually like that guy. I don't know. We'll see. Easy troubleshooting, easy diagnostic, easy fix. Now, if you don't have the sail switch though, from what I've heard, they're only a couple bucks on, under 10 bucks on Amazon. But I'm actually going to contact these folks and see if I can't get a spare from them, just for the heck of it. Might as well have another spare, and then I don't know why this is faulty. I wish I knew, but it could just be too much or too little tension right there. Who knows? Cool idea though. I mean, the idea that like you could have something, because I believe these are just the negatives, but as soon as you start driving, all of a sudden it starts making a connection. When you stop driving, turns off, right? You could use this for maybe a fan in some case. When you're driving, turn a certain fan on, turn a light on. I don't know. That's some ideas for this. Or in this case, allow propane to burn. Ooh, that's hot. So that was easy. That was really easy. Very glad that was something so simple. Couple teeny weeny notes. This air fryer, I'm gonna make a separate video about this. It's just been it's been a crazy week so far with work, so getting caught up here. Air fryer works so well, and steaks in there. You have to like, we actually have a cheat sheet. We have bananas, by the way, because we've been switching back to carnivore. Trying to avoid sugar, but you know, here we are. Steak, for example, you preheat to 450 degrees, and we do we do 4 steaks really, but they all cook pretty quickly. Only 10 minutes, and they have a nice crispy outside, juicy inside. It's actually very, very, very cool, but it does evacuate moisture, so we do open this window, and that has done the trick. Another thing, this bed mat has really, really, really helped. So this, it's a really soft material. The last one we had was horrible. This allows a lot of airflow, but when you put the blanket over it, it's fine. We have it go all the way up the back of the bed, and it has significantly reduced any moisture issues. But we still get, of course, our heads are right there, and then so you got a cold window and warm, moist breathing, so we will occasionally crack that window. And because we have this fan here, I found that as long as this is like cracked open, so you do have the heat on still, but you know, this is open, we might not have to crack that window as well, which is cool. So we're playing around with some of these things because, of course, having heat versus, you know, not requiring any heat, it really changes the dynamics. But the key is to evacuate the moisture. Interestingly, we have those moisture catching damp rid things, and somehow they're all like basically brand new still, and they've been in there for well over a week now. So like one up there, I think we have one in here. We've got one over here, one underneath, one over there. We've got one under the bed, and say hi. Hello. Oh, you guys are the best. These guys are the best. Yeah, we need to sweep in here, don't we? Yeah. But look how much floor we have to sweep our whole house out. Next to nothing. Right? We are leaving these cracked. I try to do it, but you know, you try to do these ones because it's a magnetic catch, you know, there you go. But I've checked all of them, and they're in pretty brand new shape. So we don't have a lot of moisture in those areas, it seems. It's just out here, which is fine. It's totally cool. The other thing is, if we run the bathroom fan, and we're gonna make a whole series in the future. I think I already talked about this, but I want to make like a how to RV, because a lot of people just don't know. You don't know what you don't know, right? And I'll keep it simple, like shorter videos on specific subjects, I think, and then maybe like a culminating video. But basically, as long as we keep the shower fan on, because this is the only, you know, there's no air that can come in this way, it can only exhaust here. It'll pull moisture from here through here, pull all of these are dry, these are constantly dry, just from the air that's pulling. And that has been working so well, believe it or not. Like, a lot of folks, you might not think so. And the other thing is, I want to make videos specifically about like how the showers work, right? Like, how do they actually work in real life, right? But I love that shower. It's really cool. The other thing is, you know, toilets kind of get gross. They don't really get gross in here in wet baths, because you just rinse them off. And so, you know, things happen, or you get mud in there or whatever. Just rinse the whole bathroom off. We've only been using the electric heater for the most part, other than one instance in which we had the electric on, the water heater. And then we'll turn the water heater on here, which this is the propane switch. So the electric switch is actually out there. You got to go open it up, and then this is the propane.
that has worked very well to reheat the water, which is great. I love that. And so Emma took a shower right after I did. We only had like 5 or 10 minutes, you know, in between, and yeah, it's been awesome. So, the water heater, I think I mentioned this already. The water heater element only uses about 400 watts. So I turned it off. We checked right up here. It was only using 400 watts, which is great. So that means in the summer, you know, I was thinking about doing like a solar water heater sort of thing. I have a lot of ideas for that. Yeah, that is not going to be necessary because there will be no problem getting 400 watts, plus, you know, recharging the batteries and whatever. Good. And we'll have a video on this as well, but our Cricut, we finally broke that bad boy open, and Emma has made some interesting, very interesting, good labels. I did a little label for like Cozy Living Machine. We're just still getting used to things, right? Because you have to cut and you have to know what you're doing. You have to design it, and then you have to like apply a transfer tape, and then you know, it's a whole thing. But it's definitely a craft. It's an art, that's for sure. But it's been really, really awesome. So anyways, a little bit disheveled still. We're still getting into RV park living sort of thing. So, but anyways, yeah, all good stuff. All good stuff. So anywho, thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.